Hello everybody, I am Jared Ross, a Genie Vlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. On today's video, I will be reacting to I Tried 23andMe So You Don't Have To by Swell Entertainment. Now, I am familiar with this channel. It's actually a channel that I became familiar with recently. She basically does reviews of conferences, and when I went to VidCon, I ended up watching her video, and I ended up watching a bunch of her other videos for other conferences. Recently, she just did a video about her dog's DNA and talked about how she did a DNA test, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, I've got to react. So I actually sent her an email. I might have sent her a DM, I can't remember. But either way, I contacted her and was like, would you like me to do your family tree? And I haven't heard back yet, but hey, if you're watching this and you'd like to be part of my YouTuber Family Tree series and have a professional genealogist trace your family tree, hit me up. Now, this video is 4 years old, so her results have definitely been updated with all the different updates over the past 4 years. But it'll be interesting to see if she talks about what she knows about her family and how that correlates to what her results are. She's obviously European, but I don't really know much more than that. But I'm not really going to say anything else, so let's jump into the video.
Let me just start out by saying that there's no big reveal in this video. It's not like, oh, white girl finds out she's 20% whatever. I'm so white, it's probably illegal. So I'm just gonna get my results out of the way really quick. I am 100% European.
Well, let's see the breakdown. I hope she shows the breakdown. That'll be really bad video if she ends up just being like, I'm 100% European, that's it. No, nothing more than that we need to discuss. Like, that's the point. What European are you? I think this is one of the reasons why it really irks me when anyone does DNA testing or talks about ancestry or genealogy, and they just break it down to, oh, I'm white. Oh, I'm black. Like, that's the most unnuanced, terrible way of thinking about it, in my opinion, especially when you're discussing it in terms of ancestry and where you came from, because it is not that simple. So totally random rant. Let's go.
I'm so white. There's probably definitely some inbreeding at one point or another. I'm so...
There's inbreeding for everybody.
White. So white. You know, in all the ads for 23andMe, how they show the maps of everyone's ancestry and it's all rainbow and beautiful and colorful? I'm just like 50 shades of blue. Honestly, I expected that. I did not doubt that I was white. That was not my concern. That's not why I wanted to do 23andMe. Full disclosure.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, okay.
I did not pay for my kit. It was not given to me as a gift. My friend and I went to a Jimmy Kimmel taping. It happened to be on World DNA Day, and they happened to be giving out 23andMe kits to everyone that attended. So me and my friend both got ours for free. Later on in this video, you're going to see my friend Jordan. Hers was given to her by a gift. A couple things you should probably know about 23andMe. It's not cheap. The Ancestry kits are $99, and the full health report with the Ancestry and the health report included is $199.
Even though this is 4 years old and, you know, things have gone up with inflation, I think the tests are still about the same price, if not cheaper. And I should note, the tests are constantly going on sale. But especially for someone that's just interested in the ancestry parts, it's usually not that much. And when they're on sale, usually, I think they can go on sale as cheap as 50, 60 bucks. There are all the different companies that, you know, they will be different prices, but they're all about 100 bucks typically, and then usually on sale for, I think the cheapest I've ever seen them on sale is $40. But usually they'll go on sale and they'll usually be somewhere between $50 and $70. It is expensive. It's not like super cheap, but it's also not super expensive. Very worthwhile if you have, like, if you're an adoptee and you really want to find out your ancestry, or if you're a genealogist, you want to expand your family tree, or just, you know, anything like that, or you really want to figure out what your ancestral breakdown is, although that's the most useless part of these tests, especially genealogically. But hopefully she'll show that for us, because right now I'm not getting good vibes that she will, even though she showed a mosaic of European countries colored and different regions colored. So let's see.
The kit I got was an Ancestry kit, so that's all I'm going to be talking about because that's the only kit I have experience with. I got my results in a little over a week, and that was shocking to me because my friend Jordan, who again you'll see later in this video, it took her about 8 weeks to get her results. I did ask 23andMe about this, but I'll get to that later. But it was my understanding that maybe because she did have more variation, whereas I was predominantly entirely European, that it was easier for them to match my genes versus her, where they had to look at other samples because there was more variation. I don't know if what I said made any sense. Again, I'm not a professional. So when you get your results, you'll get your ancestry point, you'll get your haploid groups, you'll get a bunch of different stuff. So you'll see this screen. Mine said I was 29.3% Eastern.
Okay, we're getting some results. Okay, 29.3. Okay, well, I have the feeling she's going to be going through them real quickly. But, 29.3% Eastern European. We do have the Ukraine reading here. This is a 4-year-old reading, so this is before they expanded their community stuff much more. So nowadays, if you test on 23andMe, you're often going to see a whole bunch of, I think they do it by cities and states or countries, of places that you're genetically tied to, which is connected to your DNA matches, which I'm really hoping she goes into it because she's usually pretty comprehensive when she does her videos of conferences. So hopefully she's like that with this. Yeah, let's just keep going. So 29.3% Eastern European, 29% French and German. So that's well over half so far.
European. That's the predominant ancestry variation that I have in my lineup. My maternal haploid group is H13A1A. And again, I'm not entirely sure what that means. It's my understanding that the haploid group is basically just talking about migration patterns from when you migrated from throughout your life. Now,
so she actually missed the beautiful nuance of the mitochondrial haplogroup. And I'm going to go back a little bit. The thing about haplogroups and mitochondrial haplogroups is that it is a pure trace of one line of your family. So when we're looking at the mitochondrial or the maternal haplogroup, as they call it, so this H13A1A, this is her defined line where if you go up her mother's line specifically, so her mother's mother, and so on, that is the line that it's tracing, and it eventually traces up to what's known as mitochondrial Eve, who is the woman from whom every single human on Earth inherits the mitochondrial DNA. Basically, all the mitochondrial DNA lines go and converge up and meet at this one woman where she's the person where her mitochondrial DNA was the only one of all the people that were alive at that point to then survive to present day. So it does discuss migration patterns, but these migration patterns, you can literally say, this is the migration pattern of your maternal line. The women of your line went from here to here to here to here to here, and then all the way down to your mom and then to you. The thing with mitochondrial DNA is everyone has it. You get mitochondrial DNA from your mother, so whether you're a guy or a girl, you're going to have mitochondrial DNA from your mom. For the paternal haplogroups, the Y chromosome DNA, you'll have to have a Y chromosome. So if you're born a boy and have an X and a Y, you'll be able to do the Y chromosome, which will be your paternal haplogroup. And that traces up your father's line all the way back till Y chromosome Adam. Y chromosome Adam and mitochondrial Eve did not live at the same time. There's a whole bunch of misconceptualizations of that whole thing because of the terms Adam and Eve, but they just kind of are I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But either way, they're these pure lines. And so that's one of the beauties of these, is it really tells you the specific history of one line. Not very genealogically useful, unfortunately, unless you do it where you can do matching, which is only through family tree DNA, but still really cool. So let's jump back into it.
Again, I'm not migration patterns from when you migrated from throughout your life. Now, my results did say that I don't have a paternal haploid group, but my father may have a paternal haploid group.
She does have a paternal haplogroup in the sense that it would technically be her father's paternal haplogroup. What it is like what I just said, she doesn't have a Y chromosome. She has 2 X chromosomes. So if her brother were to test, if her father were to test, if her father has any brothers, if they were to test, if her father's father were to test, if her grandfather's brothers were to test, any of them, they will all have the same Y chromosome paternal haplogroup. So that's what that is. So that's why she's not getting that.
So basically that means I am a mutant, and I expect my abilities any day now. I'm a dumbass. Obviously, I don't have a paternal haploid group, which show up on the Y chromosome. I don't have one of those. Your results also can show you people that have also used the service that you were
Yes, DNA matches. So 4 years ago, she had 1,061 DNA relatives, which is interesting, especially because she had that reading of 29.3% Eastern European. And one of the things that I have found in my own research is that MyHeritage has the best database for people from Eastern Europe. So not necessarily the best database of people with Eastern European ancestry, but more of people that are still living in Eastern Europe. So that could be it. She didn't show all of her DNA results. I'm really hopeful that she'll show the full admixture, not just leave it at, well, I'm just European and I had a lot of Eastern European, because that ruins the point of this. But all right, let's look. She has 2 close family members, 1,000 third to fourth cousins, and then many distant cousins. So that makes sense. I'd be curious to see what she has now, but let's hear what she has to say.
Related to. I'm not going to show the results that I got solely because I had 1,057 people linked up in mine, and I don't want to get their permission to film that. It also shows you your Neanderthal variants. I had 269 variants, and that is 60% less than most 23andMe customers, so probably have alien DNA in me somewhere, or lizard people, who knows. They also offer you a bunch of different research quizzes you can take and answer. I did answer a couple of them, but you don't have to. I reached out to 23andMe with a couple of questions that I could not find the answers to on their website. Through their customer support area, I sent them this email. Hi, I'm making a YouTube video about my experience with 23andMe, and I had a couple of questions that I can't find answers to on your questions page. 1, what do your labs do with the samples after the DNA is extracted, is disposed of, is it stored? 2,
Wow, what's the
likelihood that someone could break into your facilities and steal my DNA, then use it to frame me for a major crime? 3, my results came in a little over a week, but my friend didn't get her results for almost 2 months. Why is that? 4, law enforcement has discussed using familial DNA services in an effort to crack cold cases. Will 23andMe be participating in this effort? And then I mentioned that I understand if legally they can answer some of my questions. Within 24 hours, they got back to me with at least a paragraph answer for each question that I asked. I appreciate that a lot. I put screenshots of their whole response up on the screen, but I don't want to sit here and read the whole thing to you, so if you just want to pause it and watch that, no problem. For the first question about what they do with the sample afterwards, you register your sample and give your sample. You are given a consent form on the website where you are told to confirm yes or no of whether or not they're allowed to store your sample. For my second question about someone potentially being able to steal my DNA and frame me for a major crime, they gave me a paragraph answer detailing their security measures for their facilities and how much they try and protect our information. It is mostly what I wanted to hear, but they also didn't say anything about, oh no, once we extract the DNA, there's not nearly a large enough sample for it to be feasibly used to frame you for a major crime.
Technically what she's saying, someone could follow her to a restaurant that she ate at, wait until she leaves, go and grab all the silverware and all the everything she used that she ate, and then use that to frame her for a crime. I kind of get where she's coming from asking that question, all of that, but it's just a little bit too much coming from a fear-mongering side of not really knowing a lot of the DNA stuff. I mean, sure, yeah, like if someone gets a tube of your spit, and they go to a crime scene, they throw it all over it, your DNA is going to be there and the police are going to come find you if they are able to figure that out. Someone wanted to frame you for a crime, they'd probably have a lot easier way of getting your DNA than trying to go in and break into 23andMe's building to get just a small sample of your spit, when they could just follow you around and get a whole lot more from all sorts of other stuff. Especially any of you cigarette smokers. If you're throwing out your cigarette butts and stuff, you're leaving DNA everywhere. So, I don't know. All right.
Zero intention of ever committing a major crime, but, things happen, and I like to say never. So I'm sure if you don't watch this video when you're at my trial as a juror, this video will be played. I think most online companies, online services, are at risk of hackers, and it's something that you as a consumer and a product user looking into these products where they have your personal information, whether it's DNA, social security number, phone number, address, credit card information, anything, I think you need to be aware of that. My third question was about my results came really quick, my friends did not, what's the deal with this? Their answer kind of implies that they think that I think that they don't think I'm important enough to give my DNA enough attention. That wasn't my question. I was trying to understand why that might be the possibility. They just talked about we give all priority to all DNA samples. The 6 to 8 week processing time is an estimate. And I was like, okay, but less than 2 weeks. So my understanding about more variation versus less variation, taking more time, I'm sticking with that. May not be.
So, okay, I paused it a little bit earlier. I don't know how the editing is going to come out. It might look a little wonky in this part, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think variation really makes that much of a difference. What's probably happening is it's one, workflow processes in the lab depending on how they came in or when they came in. I know she said that, she sent it this time, her friend sent it this time. But if they send it by different couriers, and they arrive at different times in the day, they can go into different piles of who's processing them, and then it'll depend on who's processing them. Other things could be the difficulties of processing the sample. So it's possible that her friend's DNA, it had gone through on a run where something happened that was an issue and they had to rerun all the samples that were on that tray. It could also just be that in the timing of things. I mean, even when I've worked in different businesses, there's stuff that has just happened where one thing gets done and then something happens and then a whole bunch of other stuff gets pushed back a little for whatever reason. So as an example, maybe something happened in the lab where one of the machines went down and Amanda's sample had gone through that machine, but then her friend's sample hadn't gone through that machine yet. And then they had to wait like a couple of days or a week or something for a technician to come out and fix the machine and then get the samples all rolling again. I should say, in a sense, it is possible that the fact that her friend may have had more variation caused them to take some time and analyze it more and go through the results more. I don't really know. I don't think that would be the case from my understanding. Yeah, I don't know. All right, but let's continue. I'm rambling too much.
He's scientifically sound, but I'm sticking with my hunch. Now, my final question about the whole law enforcement and familial DNA is something that's been kind of a hot topic in the news more of late, but also here in California. I'm a true crime fanatic in my day-to-day life. Something that remarkably happened in the last 2 months was that the Golden State Killer was caught. I have no idea who the Golden State Killer is. Look him up. He was also known as the original Night Stalker, the East Area Rapist. These crimes happened in the 70s and the 80s. This is such an old case and something that was unsolved for decades. They re-looked into the case, and within 4 months, they tracked him down from familial DNA. They didn't find him through 23andMe. They didn't find him through Ancestry.com. It was a distant cousin who had uploaded their DNA to a public domain website, which is why the law enforcement was able to access that and use it and ended up tracking him down. There's a lot of talk saying like, oh, this is the future of crime solving, so many cold cases will be solved, and which is why I asked, is this something that you will be willing to participate in? 23andMe's response saying that they have yet to give up any information, they have no intention of doing so, they protect their users' information. They linked me a transparency report that shows the amount of times they've been contacted. I think that's a good point to make, but I mean, down the line, that could easily change. But I'm just one user for 23andMe, so to get a little bit different perspective, I went to talk to my friend Jordan, who also did 23andMe. Hi, I'm here with my friend Jordan. She also did 23andMe, and obviously her...
I'm starting to get more and more to the feeling that we're not going to see her full admixture results, which is really, really unfortunate that she just dwindled it down to just, I'm all European and that's it. That's a shame. I really hope that's not the case. 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. Prove me wrong, Amanda.
Reasons for doing 23andMe are different than my reasons for doing 23andMe, so I decided I was going to talk to her about that. Why did you do 23andMe?
I am adopted, and I have not ever known any part of my birth family, sort of, whatever, and never really reached out to them. The only things I know about them are from, like, adoption papers and whatever. That's just, like, self-proclaimed, oh, I'm Irish. Oh, the father is German.
Yeah, what's often known as the non-identifying papers, which is basically mostly for health reasons, but it usually gives enough to the adoptee to help out, which for those who don't know, I have done a lot of unknown parentage cases, basically adoptee cases. I have helped adoptees take DNA tests and then use their results to help them figure out who their biological family is. I now use that same research to do exactly what Amanda was just talking about with law enforcement. So I work for DNA Labs International, where I solve cold cases and help identify unknown remains using genetic genealogy. We don't use 23andMe, we use GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA, both of which have opt-out options. So if you're in those databases, but you don't want law enforcement to use your DNA kit, you can opt out of that. But I've helped out a whole lot of adoptees, so this will be interesting to hear if she's been able to figure it out at this point. Usually it takes a little while unless you have a really close biological family member in there. But if she hasn't figured it out at this point, there are places she could go to get people to help. So as an example, I worked with an organization, which I technically still work with, called Search Angels. They have a website where people can go and apply to get a search angel, which is someone like myself who specializes in genetic genealogy that then volunteers their time to help adoptees find their biological families. So she hasn't done that yet and been able to figure out who her biological parents are, or maybe she's been able to figure out who her biological dad is and not her mom, or the other way around, and she still wants to figure that out. Search Angels is a route to go. And same for anyone else who might be adopted. So I'll be linking that down below, and I probably showed an image of it on the screen, but let's continue.
I wanted to know always, and my mom wanted me to know.
How long did it take you to get your results?
It took me about 2 months to get my results, I think. You know, I was mostly European. I think it was about like 60 to 70% European, British, Irish, German, whatever. And that wasn't
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all European. It all means the same exact thing.
very surprising, but I actually had a lot of like Spanish and Native Mexican in me, I think totaling around 20%. Yeah, I'm a Native Mexican. I'm white.
Her map is actually colorful. Mine's just blue.
Mine's kind of spread out a little bit around the world. It's actually really...
I wish they would show the percentages. They're showing all the worst stuff. Although I get, you know, they don't know DNA that well, so it makes sense that they wouldn't know. But I would think, like, that's the one thing everyone always shows, and they're not showing it.
Yeah. You also use the basically the relative search where they link you with other people who are related to you that have always used 23andMe. Have you thought about contacting anyone? Have you contacted anyone? Has anyone contacted you?
I have used the DNA relatives tool. I think the closest person related to me is like a first cousin. I don't think that's close
Pretty
enough
good.
for me to reach out. Someone...
That's super close. Oh my gosh, that's like a dream. But if you're looking at something where they're sharing like over a couple percentages of DNA, because 23andMe gives you percentage instead of centimorgans. You can still see what the centimorgans are. But like if you have a match that's like 2 or 3% on 23andMe, that's a really good match, especially for an adoptee. So, I mean, I get it. You know, she's not really versed in this kind of stuff, but that would be something like, reach out, find out. Close. That's very close. That's really good.
Someone closer to me popped up on there, like a parent or grandparent. Maybe I'd reach out.
Yeah. Is there anything about 23andMe that concerns you?
You know, not really.
In conclusion, would I do 23andMe again? If I had to pay for it, no. I make 50 cents over minimum wage. I am a full-time student. There's no way I could feasibly swing a $99 kit. As far as data breaches, I think that that's something that's a risk for most websites. I think data breaches are a risk at any company, just like the one that happened with MyHeritage. As far as the results go, could I have gone my whole life without finding out that I was 17% Irish? Yes. It's not something that predominantly affects my well-being or my day-to-day life. So if you know you're white and you want to find out how Irish you are or how Scottish you are, do this at your own discretion. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I just wanted to do an in-depth review. Personally, I think this may be a waste of time. I understand Jordan's reason for doing it. It's really up to you. That's pretty much all I have to say. For me, the price alone is something that I can vibe with. Thank you for watching this I tried this thing so you don't have to video.
Okay, well, that was an absolutely disappointing video. We didn't get any real results, really. We basically got the Eastern European and then I think, what was it, French and German reading? I can't remember. She basically just lumped it all into European white and didn't take it further from there. So, you know, I guess it is what it is, but unfortunately just like the worst way of looking at it in my opinion, especially just lumping all of Europe together as if it was some, you know, one cultural thing. Very, very disappointing video, unfortunately. I was really looking forward to this one because I really do enjoy a lot of her other videos. She usually has really good insight. Biggest disappointment is that she, first of all, didn't talk about any of her family ancestry. She had a huge chunk of Eastern European, which is super interesting. 29.3% Eastern European. That's not one of those things that usually just pops up with a lot of the Northwestern European. So 29%, that tells me that she has probably at least one grandparent who has mostly Eastern European ancestry. She also had 29% French and German, although that kind of falls into the whole Central Europe. She did mention 17% Irish, which is then going to be part of that Northwestern European. So I'm sure she probably got Irish, she probably got British and Welsh. She probably got some Scandinavian. I wouldn't be surprised because with that Northwestern European mosaic, usually we're seeing that commonality because of the correlations of the population groups in Northwestern Europe. Reason why the Eastern European stands out a bit, because while there is some connection there through the population groups, it's not quite as tied so closely. Honestly, after watching this video, I'm kind of questionable as to whether or not she'd even be interested in having something like this done, and I totally understand why she hasn't responded to my message if she did see it. So I always find it very odd when people just kind of throw it to the side like, oh yeah, European ancestry, who cares? I don't know, I'm getting a little too ranty with it. I think part of it is just I was really hoping that she would actually talk about her ancestry in some way and focus on that. In all honesty, this video felt like a how to do this video. You know, I did it so you don't have to, so let me tell you what it's like going through it, but then not actually giving any of the true results, just giving, like, she showed the map for a half a second, which showed all of Europe covered, which is not always the case. A lot of people will only get Northwestern European. So just there, she actually has something that's much more interesting than she realizes. And then as for what her friend was saying, who was looking into the adoptee stuff and wanting to build that out, one of the things about the genetic genealogy and the reason why adoptees are able to use it so well to figure this stuff out, as well as in law enforcement figuring out, you know, whose DNA is at a scene of a crime or who this unknown body is, that's how we're able to figure it out, is through distant matches, not because, you know, oh, well, the mom showed up, the grandma showed up, you know, that's a very rare case that someone will do their DNA test who's like an adoptee or something like that and find a really close family member online. It happens, but more often than not, you have to use those distant relatives, and usually you're using third cousins and fourth cousins and, you know, maybe second cousins. So the fact that she had a first cousin, that's like, contact them. It's a first cousin. A first cousin means that your parent is a sibling of their parents. That's so close. Like, I don't know. I think I'm feeling really ranty with this video just because it was so absolutely disappointing, and I really do enjoy a lot of her content. So it was just really, really, really like, oh, why? Why couldn't you have done it even better? I would still love to have her come onto the YouTuber Family Tree series to have her family ancestry traced out, especially because for someone like her saying, you know, oh, well, I have European ancestry, who cares? I would like to show how nuanced that really is, and how there's very likely very interesting stories in her family ancestry. I'd also love to see her do an update video, although I doubt she would, but it'd be really cool to see an update of her results, being that it's been 4 years later. Plus, it would be also nice to actually see a full reading of her results. I think the big joy that a lot of people get out of my videos is seeing me break down what they actually mean and what type of, you know, information you can kind of squeeze out of it, and really didn't get any of that today, unfortunately. And just to show how nuanced European history is, be sure to check out this playlist of mine of all the YouTuber Family Tree series videos, where I trace the family trees of multiple YouTubers, all of European backgrounds. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Jarrett Ross, a Genie Vlogger. See you in my next one.